Hey guys, what's up? It's Zach. I wanted to record a quick intro to explain what you're about to watch. And so, this is a captured group call that we had inside of the Woodworking Business Accelerator program a few weeks back. And I wanted to actually post this here on YouTube so that you could get a little bit of an inside glimpse into what we're talking about, what we're covering on some of our calls, and what the coaching aspect of the Woodworking Business Accelerator program really looks like. And so, without further ado, let's jump into the call. We got about an hour-long call here. We cover some wins. We dive into the nitty gritty of some teaching that's going to be super helpful to our clients. And hopefully you can see what this looks like. So without further ado, let's dive in. All right. Well, guys, it's 3:04. Definitely want to honor your time, make the most of our time together. So we're going to dive into wins. If you have a win, again, drop something in the chat so that we can get to you here shortly. So to kick us off, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Tim Johnson. Tim, go for it, man.
Hey, Zach. How's it going?
Good, brother.
My win is we got some new merch with our new logo. So I'm pretty pumped about the new branding.
Nice.
So
It looks good.
polo.
Yeah, it looks really good, man.
Got those for deliveries for us to wear, so look a little bit more professional. And then I got the old Legacy Sawyer and Craft hat. I'm waiting for my new one from Jake. There he is.
There you go.
Some losses. I had a client call me back. I just finished a rebuild table. That was our first. And then had a recent client call us back and say there were a couple glue spots. Well, they didn't know what they were, but they're glue spots on some whitewood chairs.
Mm,
And
yep.
not a problem. Just gotta sand it down and restain, refinish. But that just kind of messes up next week and everything. So yeah.
Yeah.
And then my new guy is just not working out. So I think I'm gonna sit him down and just be upfront with him. But that's probably the only conversation I'll have with him. So I'll give him maybe another, 2 or 3 weeks to figure things out, and then I'll probably just have to let him go. So
Yeah. Well, hey, thanks for sharing wins and for sharing the losses. The new branding does look awesome, dude.
thanks. Yes, sorry to put a damper on going first and sharing losses. I don't know if anyone's done that. My bad.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, brother. All right, Andrew, what do you got, man?
Hey, yeah, I think for me, a couple of wins. It's been a while since I've been on a call because I've got into my new shop, moved in here, so that's a huge win. Um, so I've got my full shop, and then I had my first 20K month. I just finished it up, closed the table today, got to 22. Would have been 26, but a couple rescheduled on me. They were supposed to come in today. They actually put a new date on the calendar, so it wasn't a
That's good.
ghosting. So they're coming back, but they're like, hey, we can't make it today. Can we come next Thursday? So we put it down. So it would have been 26, but 22K for my first month. So yeah.
Let's go, man. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Congrats. All right, Orlando, what do you got, brother?
Yeah, man, things have been going pretty good. I was just looking over all my numbers, getting ready for the call, and my ROA is 10.55 for
Nice.
the 5 months of 2025. I started in December, so that's awesome to finally see that I'm learning the sales aspect of it.
Yeah, dude. That's awesome.
Super pumped about that. And then my win is for the month. I had really one sale came in this month, but it was at the end of last month.
Mm-hmm.
The last month I had a great month. It would have been even better had I gotten that sale then. But I'm glad I got it this month because I only had this one. And then as I was driving out of town on vacation, I closed the sale then too. So I'm at 5,800 for the month. And then I've got a few more two that seem really good. But you never know how that goes. I had to pause my ads for like a week and a half while I was out of town. So that kind of hurt. But we'll see where it goes. And then just my daughter's graduation. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Got the last ones out. All four have been done. So they're all finished. It was happy, sad, to see that go. But then my granddaughter turned one on the same day my daughter graduated. So that's awesome. And she's just such a blessing in our life. We just love her.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, you're getting old, dude. I mean,
I'm getting a little bit, man. 44
No,
next month.
I am terrified of the day that my kids are graduating school or they're getting married, all that stuff. I am not ready for it. So,
The
I-
worst one's marrying your first daughter off. That's just brutal. Sons, it's not so bad. Daughters is it's
yeah,
hard.
Oh,
yeah.
take it with grace. You'll love it.
Hey, Orlando, I married a daughter. I married an oldest daughter, so I had a tough time with the in-laws.
Right. So you're the guy that your father-in-law doesn't like.
Yeah, I'm the guy you hate.
Yep.
No, I got a great son-in-law. He's good.
That's awesome. Awesome. Well, man, thanks for sharing. I love to hear it that you've for those of you that don't know, we're going to get a little bit more into Orlando's story here in a minute, but um Orlando kind of had a tough start. He really struggled the first month, 2 months or so. And to hear that you're now averaging around a 10.5x return across the entire time that you've been in the program is really, really cool. So that's huge for me just as a boost of confidence as well. So thanks for sharing, man.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. We got Tiffany and Alan. What do you guys got?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Well, we were able to complete that sale that we were talking about. Kind of, she was on the fence and finally end up putting her deposit in. So, and then I have another one that's still just kind of hanging out, waiting to figure out exactly what she wants. But she says she's a definite buy, so probably for June. But so yeah, we closed somewhere around. I don't know. Do we claim the tax on the total, or how do you just do the total?
Nah,
Like
just the
somewhere
total.
like 17, I guess, somewhere like that, right? 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, somewhere around 17. Yeah.
So just this month, you've
Yes,
done
sir.
17.
Mhm.
Have you ever
Yes.
done that much before?
No, nope,
That's awesome.
nope.
Congrats.
So we're having,
Way
yeah,
to go.
thank you.
Love to hear it. All right. Tim Holland, what do you got, man?
Yeah, so last month was terrible. We only did like 5,500, but then it was all kind of, I guess the conversations flowed over. And now, so this month we're at 37 total with a couple people on the outskirts there still. And then one of them is like a single table for a wedding venue just to get the design down. But then they're getting 9 more tables once we deliver that first one. So,
Wow.
yeah. So it's going to be, and that's like a 30K order once that finalizes. We've already signed contracts and whatnot, but got to get deposits still. But yeah, it's been a good month. 37, so 27x on the ads on that aspect of it.
Man, that's insane. That's awesome, dude. Thanks for sharing, Tim.
Yeah, I mean, like last month, yeah, like it averages out from last month to this month,
Right.
so it's
Right.
fine. But
For sure. So just so everybody has some context here, Tim, how long have you been in the program now, man? We've been working together, what, like 2 years, 2.5 years now?
Since maybe since before last summer, sometime, year and a half, maybe.
Okay. Tim
Maybe,
is always
something like that.
Tim's a great craftsman, absolutely does fantastic work. But the thing, I'm just using this as an example. Tim had a bad month last month. He didn't get a great return on his ad spend, but he just kept going. And what you tend to see is you'll see a lot of carryover from your bad months. Like you might not close deals in the bad months, or you might not even feel like you got a lot of warm leads, but a lot of that stuff tends to carry over and you'll have just monster months, usually following bad months or vice versa. You'll have a monster month and then have a slow month, right? So just play the long game, staying steady, usually ends up in your favor. So Tim, thanks for sharing, man. That's awesome.
No worries.
All right, Joe, what do we got, man?
Hey, so I've got some highs and lows. My biggest problem I've had is, I mean, when I joined the program, things just exploded for me. It was real hot. My production queue at its worst, I was at 20, I was figuring, I think 28 weeks at its absolute worst.
It's a lot.
Right now I'm down to between 16 and 18 weeks. So that's awesome.
That's good.
School's out, so kids helping. Also going to bring in another kid. It's the son of a guy in my BNI group. Just looking for some hours here and there. I pitched the idea of commission-based work, so pay per task. We'll see how this goes. I'm going to meet with him tomorrow morning and see if we could fine-tune something there. I built an amazing panel clamp system mounted to my ceiling. I can clean the glue off both sides. I've used it 3 times. Man, that thing is awesome.
We need. Have you given us a tour of that yet, and I just missed it, or are you planning on doing
I
this
posted
soon?
3 pictures of it in the shop organization
Okay.
over the weekend. I mean, it's pretty simple. It's you know, I looked at trays. I was like, man, I like that idea, but shit, I got a big glue up to do. So this thing, I can handle up to 10 foot, 10 foot tall, 10 foot wide, and it's adjustable. I can collapse it down to the sides, swing it up to the ceiling and hook it up there. And it's right in the middle of the floor. You can kind of see the pipes behind me.
Nice. Yeah.
So it's right in the middle. Overhead door can still open. I can still use my work tables. So that thing has been awesome.
It's exciting, dude. I love that.
But the downside is, man, I haven't had a sale since I think it was the first or second week of April. So
Yeah.
I've had some okay leads. I went probably 2 weeks without leads in May. Worked with Micah, he kind of fine-tuned some things, and I started getting some traction here. So something will hit. It's not like I'm sitting here picking my nose. You know, and I blame a good chunk of that on me because I started dialing back, you know, February, March, because I had too much work.
Right.
So we'll get there.
Yeah. Everybody experiences it at some point, you know.
Right.
Just been crushing the whole time you've been here.
I know it's kind of a slap to the ego.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. No, everybody has it. Even the best of us, even those of us that are just killers in sales and great at follow up. Like there's just some months that you can't get it to fall the way that you want it to fall. I mean, it's just the nature of sales. It's like some
yeah,
months you could kick people in the head and call them bad names and they'd still buy, you know, and then some months you sweet talk them, rub their feet, give it away for free, and they're like, nope, I don't want it. Leave me alone.
I don't know, man. I'm not rubbing anybody's feet, Zach. I'll leave that one for you.
Okay. Just me. I'm the only one that's ever done that to get sales. Okay.
Yeah,
Joe
yep, you have
just
it.
uses paddles.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah. They're on sale, by the way.
Love it. Thanks for
Thanks.
sharing, man. It'll turn here soon. I know it will. So, all right, Mr. Jake Nelson, the man, the myth, the legend.
I don't know about that, but yeah, I kind of struggle to call this a win yet because after that one sale fell through, after he verbally agreed to it, I've got some verbal agreements that could put me at a really good spot this month, or worst case scenario, at a great start for next month.
Yeah.
So I'm not even gonna count numbers yet or anything, but even if they didn't go, I'd be all right. I'd be doing all right. So,
That's good.
and then Jordan's call today was fire. I don't know if anybody else was on there, but just really spoke to some issues that I'm having with sales that kind of didn't know that I had. So I'm excited to listen back to that and take some better notes and start implementing that stuff. So I think it's really gonna help.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, it makes me want to go back and listen to. Every once in a while, Jordan's got something good to say. You know, we keep him around for a reason.
Yeah, that head of his isn't there just for a hat rack, I guess.
Yeah, I love it. Well, cool, man. Well, yeah, I think, you know, at the end of the month, and I can kind of speak to this for you, Jake, but I'll speak to this for everybody. You know, you're trying to toe that line of how hard do I need to push? How hard do I not need to push on leads? And if you feel like you got some rapport built with somebody, you can push them a little bit and be like, hey, I'm real close to hitting my sales quota. Are you in a play? You know, especially if they're like are 95% of the way there. You know, if they're not like got to talk to their interior designer or trying to figure out a bunch of logistics or do a bunch of stuff. If they basically asked you all the questions that they need to ask to close the deal, push on them a little bit and be like, hey, I feel good about it. Do you have any other questions? You need anything else from me before we get you in the queue? You know, before we get you started. So, but also if you feel like you have somebody that you don't have a ton of rapport built with. Maybe it's a more formal feeling relationship. Um, Typically, it pays off to be more patient in those situations, in those scenarios. And so that money will spend just as good in June as it will in May. So
Right.
just hang tight. But also, you want to stay connected. That's one of the things that I see where guys do make mistakes is that they will choose to be patient, but then they get disconnected. And so that gives them an opportunity to maybe, shop you around, go a different direction. You want to be their number one source of information, of knowledge, of what to be doing, how to be doing it. And so just touching in, checking in, making sure that you're providing the best information that you can. You're positioning yourself as the expert, so on and so forth. So Jake, if you got 2 or 3 leads. How many leads you got?
That are close.
Yeah.
There's like 3 verbal agreements
Okay.
right now. So, and I mean, one of them, it's been a long time. It's a live edge deal. That's like a 16K deal.
Woo.
He's just, I think he's gonna get me the deposit, but I think it's gonna be next month.
I feel like I remember you talking about this guy that he's kind of
Yeah,
in the bush a long time.
yeah. Well, and he's like log to table type deal. So
Okay.
it's kind of a long game, smaller deposit up front, but still
Right.
really good one.
Nice. Thanks for sharing, brother.
Absolutely.
All right. Steven, what do you got, man?
Hey, so I was just looking over my numbers for so far this year, and so I'm averaging right now in production 20 to 22,000 a month. And I was looking at it last year, and I only hit 20 once for the first 5 months. Looking at last year, so in the first 2 3 months were like like crazy bad. They were like February, I think I did like 5,000.
Wow.
So it's just kind of cool to see the increased production. And so far this year, we've been doing pretty good in sales. Um, so those two things together makes everything just move so much.
And
Yeah, so much better. So
it takes a lot of pressure off from a cash flow perspective. That's awesome.
yeah,
Steven's an OG, man. For those of you that don't know, this guy's been beasting it up for a long time now. I think you're coming up on 3 years, aren't you?
yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So been with us for a long time.
Yeah, I think I'm probably just behind Trey.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's like Keith, Trey, Steven, and Eric that have been with us the longest. But that's awesome, man. Thanks for sharing.
Yep.
Back to Joe. Back to Joe. What do you got, brother?
Real quick, I had a customer who scratched their table, stopped by last week and touched it up. It was a hard wax finish, so it was an easy repair. And she's asking me, she says, do you like cookies? Of course. Yep, it's my weakness.
Right.
Turns out this gal is director of the cookie program for the Girl Scouts. She hooked me up, man. I brought home so many dang Girl Scout cookies. The family loved it. So that's all. That was a huge win for me. Cookies.
Yeah, that's awesome that you don't sell a table to the director of cookies for the Girl Scouts very
Right.
often.
I didn't even know that was a job.
Yeah, that's awesome. Super cool. Well, I'll share I'll share just kind of a funny personal win for me. One of the things that we do here at the church is we have what we call our CEP program, which is our continued education program. And so every year, our senior pastor will come up with like, hey, you need to read this many books. You need to you have to go on vacation. You have to, uh, and he'll kind of come up with some fun things. Well, one of the fun things that he came up with was like, you need to dream again. So, like, what is something that you've always dreamed of doing that you've never done? Or what's like a hobby or something that you've always thought about picking up that you've never done? Well, it's May, and I've literally been thinking about it and trying to figure that out for me. Like, what is that thing I love everything I get to do. I love, and every time I think of a hobby, I think, or wanting to dream again, I think about starting a new business, which I need to stop doing that. So, so for me, I've been thinking and kind of contemplating what I want to do. Well, one of my friends here at the church, he's also my brother-in-law. He started taking jujitsu, and this guy's like 45, 46 years old. And so he's out there rolling around on a jujitsu mat. And and so for me, I got to thinking about it and I went and watched him do jujitsu, and I'm like, I've always kind of wanted to get into boxing a little bit. So I've never done it, don't know anything about it. If I don't have a gun with me and some dude wanted to throw down in the street, I'd get thrashed, right? So I'm like, I basically told my wife, I'm like, I just want to get good enough to be able to like beat average people that don't know anything about boxing, right? But I started my boxing lessons last night. So here we go. Here we go. We're going to see how this goes. And so I haven't gotten punched in the face yet. Everything may change as soon as that happens. But it was fun and I'm excited about it. I'm super freaking sore. uh, they started and we stretched, and then he goes, "All right, we're going to do 300 jumping jacks." So I did 300 straight, unbroken jumping jacks. And my calves today are freaking blown up. Like, what are you doing, bro? But
Dude, 300 jumping jacks? Just get a bigger gun.
seriously, man, that's kind of what I'm thinking. But anyway, so just a fun win for me, just doing something different. And most of the time, I'm either doing ministry, doing this, or I'm all in with family. So don't really spend a lot of time just like going and pursuing something new, doing something fun. And so carving out some time for this, it's going to be really, really fun. So, all right, back to Tim before we move on. Tim, you got one more big win, right?
Yeah. Yeah, my only method of self-defense is my concealed carry or running. I think I can outrun most people.
There you go. I can't, unfortunately.
Hey, so somebody reached out to me today, says their title is an executive at NBC Charlotte, which is the biggest local station here, and the biggest local city to me, other than Raleigh in North Carolina. They want to call me tomorrow to talk about their home show program, which I don't know anything about. I don't know what that is, but I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it might be some kind of opportunity just to get my name out there and get in front of more people and gain some reputation. So I'll post about that tomorrow if we have the call tomorrow and just share what it's about. But I'm kind of excited about that.
Love it. It's good stuff. Yeah, anytime that you can get picked up by the news in any way or partner with the news in any way, usually results in some type of ROI. And so it may be great, it may not be great, but it's going to always result in something. So, all right. All right, we're going to hop in. Orlando, you ready, bro?
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, let's do it, man.
All right. So I'm going to turn the floor over to you for a little bit and kind of tell me where you're at, what your revenue numbers look like, what your challenges are, and tell me where you're ultimately trying to go. And then I can kind of partner with you and give some counsel, give some wisdom on how to get there. So I'm gonna turn the floor over to you for say 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay. Revenue wise, let's see, my total sales from January to now is basically right at 34,000.
Okay.
And like I said, that's at a 10.5 ROA. As I was looking, my materials cost is right at 17.8%.
That's good.
Yeah, I thought that was good. When I looked at it, I was like, wow, it kind of shocked me. And so what I've been trying to do with any profit is I'm trying to get more tools to make my job easier. And just another win, by the way, is I used the Graco Project Plus for the first time. That thing was like amazing.
Yes.
It just threw that paint on there so much faster than what I had been using. But anyway, so that's where I'm at as far as my numbers are going. I think where the real bottleneck for me is going to be is that I'm working a full-time job. I'm pastoring a church full-time. and I'm doing this. My goal in starting this is to get out of the full-time job so that I can really focus on pastoring. Because I asked you about getting to 20,000 because I think that's where I need to be so my family can continue to live comfortably, the business can grow, and I can quit my full-time job. But ultimately, where I want to be is where I'm kind of just managing this business.
Yeah.
And just getting income from it. And maybe every now and again, you don't have to really be hands-on with it. Right. But for the most part, just kind of sit back and collect the income from it. That's where I want to get so I can focus on pastoring.
No, that's
good.
Where
my heart's at. So I guess what I fear is just the next steps, because that's really what it is how do I transition, the balance in transition, because right now things are so crazy for me that I know things are slipping through the cracks in every area.
Right.
Like pastoring, even with the business, because I'm so busy that I almost never have time to just stop and kind of just think through things.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of doing. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. What's your current lead times? If I place an order with you today, what would you tell me?
12 to 14 weeks. So it's taken me about 2 weeks to get a set out. So I've got 6, 7 right now. I'm halfway through one, more than halfway through one.
Okay. So first of all, you're in a great position. So I want to just tell you that
Well, that's encouraging.
like honestly, your numbers are really, really healthy. Like the fact that you're underneath 30% material cost, you're under 20% material cost, which is super good. Are you selling a lot of tables and not a lot of chairs? Or
I'm selling mostly tables and chairs.
Okay. Okay. Typically chairs drive up material costs. If you can just sell tables, typically your material costs will hold lower. But if you're holding 17.8% material costs, that's insane. It's really, really healthy, really good. You're averaging over a 10x return on ad spend. That's fantastic. And so the one thing I'm going to show to you briefly. Okay. So we've gone over this before for some of you guys. And I'm going to add in another element of this for Orlando as we get going, because his situation is a little bit unique. So anytime that you're thinking about scaling or growing, you need to ask yourself a couple questions if you're ready to scale, because the last thing that we want to do is we don't want to scale inefficiencies. We don't want to scale things that aren't working. So we want to make sure that we set metrics for what health looks like and what is working. We want to make sure that we're consistently hitting those, and then we want to go to the next level. Okay. So right now, these are the 3 questions that we want to be able to, or the 3 objectives we want to be able to try to hit really when someone's first starting the program within their first 4 to 6 months, which is kind of where you're at. Okay. Are you holding gross profits of 50% or greater, which you are? So if you are, running 17.8% on material costs, and then are you have any employees at all right now, or is it just you?
No, it's just me, and my sons will help me on deliveries.
Okay, so you're not paying out any labor that doesn't go into your house. So you get to collect all that income. So your only expenses right now are material costs and marketing, really, essentially.
Right.
So with that, you're spending 18% material costs, you're spending 10% on marketing because you're getting a 10x return. So you're netting right now like 70% margins, okay? Which is insane, right? By anybody's standards here, that's really, really good. Like if you can maintain that, kudos to you. And you have sold up to 10 to 12 weeks. Okay. You said your lead times are what, 12 to 14, something like that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, these are your next steps. Okay. You have a healthy business. And the thing that you don't have right now is you don't have leverage. Okay. This is where you got to start introducing leverage. So, what is leverage? Leverage is you can introduce leverage in 4 ways: with labor, with capital, money, with media, or with code. Okay. So in our industry, the number one ways that you're going to introduce leverage are always typically going to be labor first and then capital second, generally speaking. So the way that we want to introduce leverage is we got to get you out of the shop. Okay. You can't continue to grow and still be the only guy really building everything. So what that's going to do is it's going to eat away at your margins a little bit, but it's going to allow you to take the next step. Okay. If you, so how many hours a week are you working right now on average in the shop, building the product?
That's something I haven't gone through and done. I would guess 20 to 30.
Okay. So say you're working part-time 20 hours a week. Okay. And you have, let's say, 14 week lead times. Well, if you added another 20-hour per week guy right now, that was proficient, that wasn't like a total newbie, you had to teach him everything, but that was somewhat proficient, you would essentially do what? You'd cut your lead times in half, right? You'd go from 14 weeks to 7 weeks because you've just doubled the amount of labor that you're adding to your shop. Okay. Which then gives you room to sell more and grow. Because once you get to about 12 to 14 weeks, when you have those long lead times, it starts affecting your sales. People don't want tables in 16, 18, 20 weeks, right? They want them typically 12 to 14 weeks or less. That's 12 to 14 weeks is kind of the max. Okay. So we want to add an employee. That's your next step. So super practically, Orlando, you need to find somebody that you trust, a friend, a family member, somebody that wants to make some side income. Again, this hire that you're making right now is not going to be a hire that's going to be with you for the rest of the business. This is somebody to help you get through this phase that you're in and move on to the next phase. Okay. So you're looking to hire somebody that can add 20 hours a week to your shop that you can trust. Are you working out of your garage right now?
I am.
Yeah. So you need to have somebody that you can trust that can walk in your house and use the bathroom, right? If you
Right.
don't, it's going to be tough. It's going to be challenging. And ideally, they need to be able to be there the same time that you're there. You don't really want somebody at your house when you're at the church or you're at your full-time job, right? So somebody that can work with you in the evenings, on the weekends, whatever that might look like. And even if, Orlando, you can't find somebody that can give you a full 20 hours, maybe you can find two people that can give you 10 apiece, right? What we're trying to accomplish is we're trying to double our capacity, our labor capacity, and we're trying to do it without you having to be the one that does it. Okay. And so next, what we want to do is we want to remove you. We want to remove you from less qualified tasks to more highly qualified tasks. Okay. So ideally, what this looks like in our industry is you training them up on sanding, training them up on assembling chairs, training them up on staining, training them up on cleaning the shop. And that's where they're spending the majority of their time, with you focusing on the front end building and then the actual finishing of the product. Because those two things really, 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 really matter. Now, let me just say again, I'll say this every time, all of it really matters. You got to get all of it right. But it's easier to train for those other tasks, generally speaking. And so we're taking your time and allocating it to higher value tasks so that you can replace lower value tasks and also not have to spend as much money on labor, right? If you brought in a master carpenter, you're going to have to pay him 30 or 40 bucks an hour, right? We don't want that. We want to find somebody that's a kid out of high school, somebody that's looking for some side income, making 10 to 12 to 15 bucks an hour. That's the kind of work that we want. Okay. So, but you need to feel confident in them. They need to be competent. They need to have a good work ethic. And this is also going to start challenge you to be a leader in that regard. You're already a pastor, you're a leader of people in that regard, but giving really clear instruction, following up on that, correcting them, showing them how to fix it, where to go, what to do, and following up on it. And that's where leading and managing in a environment like this starts to change. Okay, you're not just accountable for you, you're accountable for them too. So you want to train them for less qualified tasks, and then you want to start increasing your ad spend, and then you want to sell back up to the 10 to 12 week lead time from there. Okay. So have you tracked what you've been able to get done in production each month?
No, I just started on like the last couple table sets, how long it took me.
Okay.
So I only have those two to go off of as far as man hours on them.
That's okay. That's okay. So the main thing, as you kind of share where you're at, that you're struggling with, the big thing you're struggling with is leverage. You're running out of hours. You're running out of time. And you don't have a big enough business yet that you can go just quit your job and jump into this full time, right? So you have to figure out, how do I get the business big enough in the next, say, 6 months so that I can feel confident stepping away? And you do that by leveraging other people's time. So you may give up a little bit of profitability during this time, but you have a ton of profitability to give, to be honest. And so, you know, most people aren't running 70% margins in their business. You know, with you doing all the work, you haven't doing so well on material costs, your return on ad spend being so high, you've got a ton of room to give. So, but that doesn't mean we need to give it all away either. We need to be smart about who we hire, what we pay them, so on and so forth. But your next big steps are cut your lead times back down by hiring another employee or two. You're trying to get an additional 20 to 25 hours of labor is what you're trying to do. So if that's just one person or two people, whatever that might be, then you're wanting to increase ad spend. Also, I'd say with this, also increasing your organic activity. So, trying to think of who I was.
I know I'm big time lacking in that for sure. Just it's time. I'm like, man, I don't have the time to sit here. Which,
Right.
and it's all excuses, but that's just I'm like kind of at a point where I'm maxed out.
100%. And that's another reason why I say over and over that you're going to make more money outside of your shop than in it. So like imagine, for example, let's say like right now you're working 20 hours a week in the shop. Okay. Well, we're trying to get to 40 hours of labor per week. But you also see that all these other areas in the business are lacking, right? Or posting in Facebook groups, posting on Facebook Marketplace, so on and so forth. Well, let's say that we need to get you an additional 5 hours per week that you need to be working on those things that can really move the needle. So then maybe the hire is not 20 hours a week, but maybe it's 25 to replace your 5 so that you can get more organic content out there and drive more sales and more revenue. The number one objective of any business owner is always to be driving revenue, driving revenue, driving revenue, driving marketing and sales, marketing and sales, marketing and sales. It's super, super important. So now that doesn't mean that you can't pay close attention to production, systems, operations, all that matters because the whole thing breaks if that doesn't work. But the primary objective that you need to focus on when you're in a position where you're ready to scale is what needles can I move that are going to make the biggest difference to the bottom line? And that's going to be getting more done and collecting more cash because you're getting more done and driving more yeses and more sales. Those are the two main things. And so,
quick question with this then. So
yeah,
once I bring someone on and then we're putting more out, like to me in my mind, I think like, all right, then either that month or the next month, I need to basically increase my ad spend to make up for it, right? Or do I like, should I just like right on the heels of that, just increase ad spend?
Yeah. So, I mean, as soon as you hire somebody, your lead times are cut in half. So you immediately need to increase ad spend. I
And
would
what
say.
do you recommend increasing it to? Because right now I've been running steady at like 700 a month.
And you've been doing about 5 to 8 thousand a month in sales.
Right. My average is 6,000 a month for the last 5 months.
Well, let's talk through this. Okay. So say that again. What was it? What's your average?
6,000 for for this year for 2025.
Okay. So let's say if we're doubling production, then we would double ad spend, right?
Okay.
So if you can hold it, our goal and our objective is to try to hold a good return on ad spend as long as we possibly can. Okay. Eventually you'll get to where your ad spend starts to dip because you're spending a lot of money. That's just the nature of the beast. When you start spending a lot of money on ads, like four, five, six, seven, eight, $10,000 a month, you'll see your ad spend start to drop, your returns start to drop. But where you're at right now, you're not anywhere close to that. So you could move to a $1,400 per month ad spend or a $1,500 per month ad spend. If you're going to double your production capacity, then you could essentially double your ad spend and you should backfill back up to that 10 to 12 to 14 week lead time again. But that's the
Okay.
process that just repeats itself over and over and over and over and over and over is that you always grow with sales first. So if for everybody that's listening right now, if you're like, I want to grow the business, you need to grow sales first. Okay. Then what we want to see is, holy crap, I'm stressed out. I'm working my butt off in the shop. Okay. Then we introduce leverage with labor or with capital by getting better equipment that allows you to be more efficient. Right. So then, so we've grown sales. We're freaking out. We can't get caught up in production. Then we add labor, add capital to get better equipment to drive production capabilities. So then what I want to do is I'll say if I'm at 10,000 a month and I want to get to 20, I want to get to where I'm selling 20, then I'm producing 20. Okay. And then I have a stabilized business. Okay. Then, all right, I want to go to 30. Okay. We're going to make sure that we um, lead with sales first. Our lead times start to grow. And by the way, just a reminder, anytime that you're selling more than you're able to manufacture in a month, your lead times are going to grow. Anytime that you're selling less than you're able to manufacture in a month, your lead times are going to shrink. Okay. So we want to play, that's how we're planning on scaling and growing, is we're playing with our lead times and we're playing with our ad spend and our return on ad spend to kind of forecast into the future what we're trying to accomplish. So for you, if your goal is like, I want to get to 20,000 a month, I wouldn't say that our next step is to get to 20,000 a month. I would say our next step is to get to 12 to 14,000 a month. That would be our next step. And that's you doubling your current labor load, you doubling ad spend, you freeing up 4 to 5 hours a week to post in Facebook groups, post in Facebook Marketplace, and drive more initial sales and revenue. And then what we want to do is for you to start selling more than you're able to produce and get your lead times back up to that 10 to 12 week mark again. Then we revisit, okay, we're busting our tail in the shop. We're selling 12 to 14 a month. We're getting 12 to 14 a month done in the shop with me and my current team. I want to get to 20. We increase ad spend. First of all, we're going to make sure we're still getting a strong return. We're going to increase ad spend. We're going to add another part-time guy, or maybe move a part-time guy to a full-time guy and add another part-time guy, remove you from the shop, because that's ultimately what we want to do is we want to buy back your time. We want to give you the opportunity to run the business, manage the business, not be required for you to be in the shop in order for it to be successful. And so, but that's the steps. That's the plan. That's how I did it. And so,
Okay.
So with that, what are your fears? What are your hesitations? What are you freaking out about? Or what things seem very difficult for you to pull off with that?
Yes. No. um,
Yeah.
just taking the step to, like, even just starting the business was taking that step. Starting a church helped, definitely, knowing kind of the work that has to go into it, but just taking this, getting to the point where I could take the step to leave my full-time job, because that is a cushion there. Like, I know, like, everything that comes in is pretty much just like
Right.
kind of play money, not really, but you understand what I'm saying. Like, I can just put it all back in the business. I don't need it to live on, and I'm not having to have the concern of supporting someone else's family. Like, I have to make sales to take care of them as well.
Yeah.
So that's, definitely a concern, but just moving forward right away, how do I pay the employees? Like, especially a part-time guy. Do
So
I,
you got a couple options. So you can pay by the job or by the task, or you can pay by the hour. Um, Generally speaking, I like to start guys off paying them by the task as opposed to the hour. So, like, let's say that you have a guy that his only job is to come in and clean the shop and assemble any chairs that need to be assembled, right? And you can structure this however you want. So you could just say, I need a 20-hour part-time, 20-hour a week part-time guy. I'm going to pay you $10 an hour or $12 an hour. These are the 4 or 5 tasks you're going to do, and you don't really worry about it. They work their time, but you got to track and make sure that they're staying efficient. Because a lot of times what happens is you're incredibly efficient in the shop. You're working with a sense of urgency and a sense of pace, and then you get someone that comes in and they're lollygagging in the shop and they're not getting anything done. So you need to kind of figure that out based on who you're hiring. But um, it's typically a good idea when someone's first starting or you're first starting to hire to pay by the job. Now, you just need to make sure that you are willing to spend some time with them the first 2 to 4 weeks, really training them well. You're going to take a step back to take 2 steps forward. And so you're not going to be as efficient, but you're going to get them trained up. And so when they're trained up, you can trust them. You don't have to watch over their shoulder. You don't have to go back and fix all their mistakes. And here's the other thing. Anytime you add employees, they're going to make mistakes. It's inevitable. Employees make mistakes. That's what they do, just like you do. But they have to be accountable to you, right? And you can kind of let yourself off the hook, right? So, but as far as paying, you can pay by the hour, you can pay by the job. And so, one thing you can do is you can say, hey, you know, this is how long it typically takes me to do this. I'm going to pay you X amount of money to do this job. If it takes you longer, you're going to make less per hour. If you do it faster, you're going to make more per hour. But this is the job, this is the pay for the job, and these are the standards of what's good and what's not good. So you can't do it super fast and it be super sloppy and terrible and us have to come back and redo it and expect that you're going to make a bunch of money. You're going to have to come back and redo it and I'm not going to pay you for it. So it depends on your relationship with the person. It depends on what they're trying to accomplish. But like, let's say that we get to the point where you're doing 20,000 a month and you're out of the shop. Let's say that you're completely out of the shop and you have 2 or 3 guys. Say you have 2 guys. You can just give each guy a project from start to finish and say, you're building and sanding and finishing this from start to finish, and this is how much it's going to pay. Right? And you can do the same thing with the other guy. Makes it very clean, very straightforward. Now, once you get bigger than that, it makes more sense to run it Henry Ford style, where you have more of an assembly line style production, where you have somebody that's over all the building, someone that's over all the finishing, someone that's over all the prep, sanding, staining, what have you. So it can get a little bit tricky, and you have to just, like, I eventually moved to just paying by the hour and just managing and tracking their time and their efficiency really closely. And so, but where you're at, where you're starting, you can pay it by the hour. And as long as you train them good, you'll see a good return on it. Set the tone of what it looks like to work with urgency, to work with some pep in your step, and then make sure that they're well trained. And just the Orlando, like, just you not having to sand anything ever again is going to change your life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's these little micro wins of, like, you not assembling chairs anymore, or you not having to sand anything, and you not having to stain anything, but you, like, all you're doing is coming in, you're building stuff, or you're putting finish on stuff, and that's it, right? And so that's what I would say. The actions you need to take at this point are, you need to hire a part-time person. You need to get 20 to 25 hours back in your shop. You need to find 5 hours a week to spend on organic ways to generate sales. And 5 might even be generous, to be honest, Orlando. You might only need a couple. Creating a couple new marketplace posts a week, posting in a couple Facebook groups a week. Even if that generates 1 to 2 new sales per month for you, that's $3,000 to $6,000, right? So that's substantial. Okay. But you need to make that a priority. And then you need to increase your ad spend. You need to go to at least, I'd say, $1,200 to $1,400 a month in ad spend. The other thing I'll mention with this, Orlando, is that you need to slowly start increasing your oh crap number in your bank account, which is, like right now, if you're averaging around $6,000, $7,000 a month, your oh crap number should probably be somewhere between like 3 to 4 grand in your bank account. If you're getting to where you're doing 12 to 14,000 a month, 15,000 a month, your oh crap number probably needs to be like 7 to 8, to where you're trying to be just super conservative financially until you have like an element of stability, in case you have a bad month, in case something goes wrong, or in case a piece of equipment breaks or whatever, right? It prevents catastrophe from striking, especially if your ultimate goal is to leave your full-time job and do this full-time along with the pastoring. So hopefully that's helpful. Is that helpful?
Yeah, it is definitely. Another question. So, as far as paying employees, are you W-2ing them, 1099?
When you
How are
first
you
get
handling
started,
that?
dude, I would 1099 them.
Okay.
Now, as you get more official, as you move into a commercial space, as you start really scaling, you're going to eventually need to convert them to a W-2. Um, that's the right way to do it. But right when you're starting, you don't have to do it that way. Um, I wouldn't. The other thing I'd say about this is don't let your employees that are low-level employees ever handle saws or things that they can get hurt with. Because if they get hurt, they cut a finger off, they do something that could really mess them up, they can sue you, right? And you're going to be on the hook for their medical bills, especially if you don't have workers' comp insurance. That's not going to be good. Okay, so just be really, really wise with these first hires. Make sure they're only doing stuff, managing things where they can't get hurt. If they can get hurt, they don't need to be doing it. Um, so Tim, you said what should your oh crap number be at 20K a month? I'd say around 10K. 8 to 12, 10K is a good oh crap number.
So should I make like an employee contract then that basically says that they signed that like I will not touch like any power equipment? That way I am covered. Like no, they knew they weren't supposed to.
Yeah, that honestly is a really smart idea. I never did that, but that's a great idea just to, in case something did happen, you could say, listen, we created a contract, they agreed to it, therefore they can't sue me, you know? Um, by the way, the chances of this happening are incredibly low, like probably less than 5%, but that doesn't mean that it can't happen. So, anytime that you can cross your T's and dot your I's, that's good.
No, it happens. I worked with a guy that shot himself with a framing nailing gun and a month later cut 3 of his fingers off with a table saw. So
Jeez.
yeah, it happens.
He's had a rough go of it.
Yeah.
But anybody else have any questions about what we talked about today? So hopefully you're all listening to this and applying this to your same situation. So any questions, thoughts, feelings, concerns that I can speak to directly for each of you guys?
If no one else has one, then I do. But if someone else does, they're welcome to go ahead.
Go ahead, man. Yourself.
We're getting darn close to the new shop being up, and it's gonna be kind of a grind to get that set up and ready to move into.
Yeah.
But I've got a lot of new equipment that I can't use yet, which really sucks, but it's just sitting out there taunting me. But I feel like we're really set up for success. However, I will have overhead a decent amount of it that I've not had yet. And my goal is to go from like averaging 20 to 30,000 a month.
Okay.
And I think we'll really be able to do that without increasing our labor hours because of the equipment that we'll have in the new space. We're very inefficient right now just because all three of us are crammed in a 20 by 20 space.
Yeah.
But what I, to be perfectly honest, I'm a little nervous about it just because it is such a huge step, and it's a comforting thing to not have overhead. But now that I'm going to, should I increase that oh crap number just for peace of mind, or like I guess my question is, when you moved into a commercial space, how did that change your financial part? and how you kind of conducted business that way.
Yeah, so what you're feeling is completely normal, first of all. So like to feel a little bit stressed out about it, the fact that man, I'm gonna have a mortgage on this, or I'm gonna have, I got electricity, I got this, I got this, I got this. I'm gonna have an additional, $1,500 a month or $2,000 a month or whatever that number is for you. I don't know what it is, but
Mm-hmm.
that's normal to feel stressed out about it. That also helps you. It'll help you stay more focused. It'll help you continue to drive on the business, push on the business, and get where you're trying to go. I always, when I had a commercial space, my oh crap number was around half of my monthly revenue. That was the goal.
Okay.
So if you can hold 15 to 18 when you're doing 30,000, you should be safe.
Okay.
Should be pretty safe. And so now, the more that you have in there, the better. There's not like a reason, to where if you're super profitable, you're making a lot of money, you don't need to necessarily pull the money out to not leave the
Sure.
money in there, you know.
Sure.
Um, but I will say this, you're going to enjoy your business more if you're seeing personal fruit from it. And
Yeah.
so if you just leave money in your business all the time and you don't drive a nicer truck or you don't have, um, you don't eat out at nicer places or, you know, stuff like that as a result of it, sometimes the business just gets on your nerves,
Sure.
but like if you are taking care of your family, taking care of yourself, paying yourself, you don't have to pay yourself every last penny, but doing small things here or there to where you're pulling money out, you're paying for the phones, you're paying for the car insurances, you're paying for the fuel, you're
Yeah.
paying for those sorts of things. Um, it's going to make a big difference with just the enjoyability of the business, if that makes sense. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but man, with you having purchased a bunch of new equipment, you being able to increase production by 50% without increasing labor rates, that's
Yeah.
going to be baller.
I am 100% confident that we're going to be able to do that.
Yeah, it's going to be massive. And
Yeah,
so,
I think the numbers, I mean, I've been collecting data for 12 months on
Mhm.
this, and I really know what we're able to do right now versus what we should be doing.
Right.
Like in a better equipped space and a bigger space. Like this week it's been raining and we had to turn my enclosed delivery trailer into a spray booth. Like
Right.
it's just things like that. It just eat up time that it's not going to be that way in the new building. So
Right. But thanks for sharing. I felt
yeah,
like this was a good call. Hopefully, this was helpful to all of you guys. Orlando, hopefully, you got some benefit of this.
Yeah, if I could, I got another question
Yeah.
for you. So just to recap, next three steps are hire a part-time person, get myself 5 hours back to work on organic sales, and then increase ad spend 12 to 1400 a month.
Yep. That's exactly
Okay.
right.
So my question is, I'm needing to purchase a truck. The one I've got now is on its last leg.
Okay.
So what do you recommend for that?
Well, when I started my business, I bought a $9,000 truck. And so it got me by. I drove that truck for 4 years, 4 or 5 years. I'd finance it. You can write the whole thing off in the first year, even though you finance it. But get something that it depends on what you can afford. So if you can afford something that has really low miles, 20 to 30,000, 40,000 miles, I'd get that. But typically, the best around the best range to buy is something that's 4 to 6 years old that has around 50 to 70,000 miles on it. Unless you plan on driving it for forever. But a truck like that has taken all of its biggest depreciation hits already, and you can run it to 100, 120, 150,000 miles without really experiencing a ton of depreciation off of it. Jake, get out of here. Get out of here. Get
Right.
out of here.
Right. I got a Ford now. It's got over almost 300,000 on it. So
We're going to stir up quite the hornet's nest in here with all these guys and their strong opinions about trucks.
right.
But
Right.
yeah, man, I would finance it,
Okay.
and I'd pay for it out of the business.
Okay.
Like the business pay for it. And so it'll lower the business's total revenue and it'll also lower your dividends or your take home pay out of the business. Because if you pay for it personally, right? Like you pay for the truck every month, you make your truck payment out of your personal account. You have to transfer that money, which shows as profit in the business to you, and then you're losing that money to pay the payment. So you're paying taxes on a higher level, but if you pay for the truck straight out of your bank account, it shows that, let's say you made $10,000, but you have a $500 truck payment. Well, it shows your net profits were not 10,000, they were 9,500, right?
Okay.
And therefore you're not having to transfer that money to pay for that expense. And so, which is great if you're trying to minimize taxes. It's not great if you're trying to sell a business. You know, the year that you decide that you want to build up a business and sell it, you need to try to probably maximize whatever profits you're showing. You're going to pay more in taxes, but it'll maximize what profits you're showing. But
Okay. No, I appreciate this, man. This was helpful. I have like some concrete steps moving forward to help me.
yeah,
So I'll
well, way to
just
go, man.
pray
Way
I
to keep.
get the right hire and make these steps.
Well, and you might not, dude. You might not get a perfect hire, but if you got to just keep looking, keep finding, you may too. You may immediately hire the right person. They got a great work ethic. They have a positive attitude. They come in, they get their work done. They do a great job. It doesn't always happen that way. Even if you feel like you're a really good judge of character, which I feel like I am, I've made some bad hires. And so you're not going to bat 1,000. You just got to keep going until you find the one that works. And then when you do, take care of them. You know, throw them a little extra money, extra $50, $100 here or there. Get them something special on their birthday. Get them a Christmas bonus. You know, those kind of things, they matter. So, but all right, guys. Well, hey, it's 4:05 my time. We're gonna wrap this thing up. Today's the 29th, so you got 2 more days this month to go and push. Try to wrap up these deals. Take advantage of it. The best opportunity to close sales is in this last week. And so reach out to all the leads from this month, the month prior. Hey, just touching base with you. No pressure from us. Just want to let you know that our sales event is coming to a close this month. Let me know if you have any other questions or would like us to requote you or whatever. You know, and if you feel like you got a really warm lead, say, hey, where are we at? I'm close to hitting my sales quota. I'm counting on you, you know, and send them a laughing emoji and try to close the deal. Try to build some rapport with them. So, but other than that, guys, if you guys need anything at all, be sure to let me know.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Zach.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Zach.
you.